Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another wonderful episode of Sporting Perspective. It is week 14 of the NFL season, last week of regular season for fantasy football. So, for some of you guys, very important. Some of you guys, season's over. Some of you guys, comfortably in the playoffs. It's a stressful week for a lot of people, and unfortunately, there are buys. But before we talk about some of the games this week, let's talk about last week. Crazy stuff happening, and I'll let you go first. I know you have some fun topics you want to talk about. Let's just jump right on into it.
Yeah, my number one is Ben Johnson, which actually I know will tie into your number one. But my big thing with Ben Johnson, I'll let you discuss him with the Bears. My thing is, I think he really was the key to that Lions offense. I think the Lions have just been getting by on talent alone. I mean, Goff's not having the season like he did last year. Amon-Ra St. Brown is hurt. He can't. That's out of his control. Um, but it's just kind of been a weird year. I mean, like guys are putting up numbers, but they're not winning games. And at times the offense will stall out when they need them to do something, and then it just doesn't seem like it's they haven't been clicking like they were last season. And I really think Ben Johnson is a big proponent to that. So I'll throw it over to you because obviously we've seen what he's done with the Bears.
Yeah, I will say this about the Lions is last year I know they went 15-2, which is crazy. Um, they were healthy all year. I mean, that offense clicked and no one got hurt until the very, very end. David Montgomery went down, but the line was pretty much the same all year. All the receivers were, for the most part, healthy. Jared Goff was healthy, so that helped out a lot. They had a really good defense, and then they didn't really add anybody this past season. Even Sam Laporta is now hurt too. Like it's just a string of injuries they've had this year. But they didn't really do anything to improve their situation. They just kind of said, "Let's run it back," which is not something you can do in the NFL. Ben Johnson's doing a great job in Chicago, and the one thing that they've been able to do very well that they've been able to replicate from Detroit is the Gibbs Montgomery situation has now become the Swift. Oh, I just forgot his name.
Manan guy.
Manan guy. Thank you. It's those two now that are running it because Caleb Williams has not been great, and they openly admitted that this week. And Ben Johnson said it to the media. It's like, we've been winning with bad quarterback play, and they have. Caleb Williams, the only thing he's done well is he doesn't turn the ball over, which, don't get me wrong, that's definitely a good thing. But he's got the lowest completion percentage in the league right now. They're also a little bit, in my opinion, a little bit of a situation that they have a last place schedule. They've been beating up on bad teams, and it's going to be very interesting to see these next 5 weeks. Because these next 5 weeks, they play Green Bay twice, they play San Francisco, they play Detroit, and then they play a tough Cleveland defense. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next 5 weeks. Because I don't think they're going to hold the one spot. I think they'll be lucky to get out of that going 2-3 honestly.
Yeah, I mean the Bears have definitely been the talk of the NFL. Caleb, he's had improvements. Like it's not like he's better than he was as a rookie, but yeah, he's inconsistent when he throws the ball. Luckily, like you said, it's not going for too many turnovers. He's not throwing many picks, but he's always guaranteed to at least extend a play and give give his receivers an opportunity because he always has like one or two plays a game where you're like, oh, there's a sack, and then all of a sudden he emerges and he's kind of, I know I've mentioned it before, he's kind of an escape artist, but yeah, his next progression is going to need to be fine tuning that throwing percentage, just the completion percentage. I mean, it's just like he's erratic from time. Like it's like you see an amazing throw for 20 yards, and then the next two throws are like easier throws, and you're like, what? So it's almost like he makes the hard throws, but then isn't making the easy throws. It's very strange.
Yeah, it's and this is going to be my main point of it's going to be fascinating to see what that offense, what Ben Johnson can whip out here these next 5 weeks, because they could get exposed and they could be like, all right, we're in trouble here going into the playoffs. They're I don't want to say they're one dimensional, but they're getting to a spot where they're fairly one dimensional.
So my number two point is we saw Justin Herbert get hurt and he had surgery on his non-throwing hand. I feel like they haven't made it as big of a deal as it probably is. I know it's your non-throwing hand, but I mean, to have surgery on it, especially this close to the season being over with only, 5 weeks left. I'm curious if that's going to be an issue moving forward. I mean, you can't, it's not like a defensive player where you can just club his hand and wrap it all the way up with stuff. You kind of need that hand to guide your right hand before you throw. So my big thing is I'm curious what the Chargers are going to be like if Herbert has to miss some time and they have to go to Trey Lance.
Yeah, I mean they're another team. They're kind of like, I think they're better than Chicago. So what I'm about to say, I think they're in a better spot, even though they're 2 in the division. I think he's going to be okay. When he first got hurt, there was a lot of panic, and then they got to Monday, and it seemed like, hey, we're going to be okay. The biggest scare thing for me on this one is their final 5 games are brutal. It's weird to say. They could lose out, and I wouldn't be surprised. Philly, Kansas City, Dallas, Houston, Denver. At this point, all 5 of those teams could make the playoffs. Some of those teams are desperate. 8-4, they got to win at least. They have to win 1. 9-8 probably doesn't do it, so they got to probably win 2 of those. So Herbert has to be healthy. I don't know. We're going to see. Luckily, he's got 1 extra day. Their game's on Monday night this week, so he's got 1 extra day. But I think that Philly game's going to be really telling to see where he's at.
Well, and luckily it's in the dome and not at Philly where it's, cold and dark. And the last place you want is, a cold outdoor game for your quarterback who just had surgery on his hand.
Yeah. So, talking about another team that is 8-4 and somehow has kind of faded a little bit is my second point, and that's Indianapolis. A team that seemed very comfortably to win the division all of a sudden also has a brutal end to the season. They have to play Jacksonville twice, Seattle, who might be the best team in football, San Francisco, and then a Houston team that's won 5 in a row, 4 in a row. Indianapolis, a team that we both were talking about just a few weeks ago, being like, they might get a bye. They may miss the playoffs. So what happened here?
Yeah. Well, another quarterback injury. Apparently Daniel Jones is playing through a cracked or fractured fibula or something.
Yep.
So that's not good. I mean, one bad fall on that, and that thing could shatter. And his arm's just done.
And then their great pickup at the trade deadline, Sauce Gardner, is now dealing with a calf issue.
Yeah, things not looking good in Indiana.
Yeah. So.
Indianapolis, I should say.
Yeah.
Good things happening in Indiana for Hoosier football.
Yeah.
My last point is kind of stupid, but I thought it was funny. And it also just is kind of epitomizes Philly sports. But the Eagles' offensive coordinator, his house got egged after they lost to the Bears. And if you watched that Eagles-Bears game, there was one shot where they showed the crowd, and the crowd was chanting "Fire Kevin," who's their offensive coordinator. And it's like, I get it, you guys you're having a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover, but you have a winning record. You're leading the division, or are they leading the division?
They are leading.
They still are. Okay, because I know Dallas has had a good little run.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the epitome of Philly sports fans. It's like, unless it's not perfect, you get booed.
Yeah, Philly's nuts.
Granted, their offense, I will say, hasn't been great.
Yeah.
Their defense is really good,
Yep.
but their offense isn't great. But it's still just funny to think that you know, Philly fans are just crazy.
Yeah. So my third point is more of a question to you because I posed it last week. Our Cardinals are dead and gone and eliminated from the playoffs. I think we both have kind of mentioned throughout the season that we believe Kyler Murray will probably be playing ball somewhere else next year. Um, so I just wanted to throw a name out there to you and to see if you would what would you would think about this if the Cardinals were able to get Dylan Gabriel for like a second rounder. Would you do that? Would you be upset with that? Because I know I said it last week, but I do believe Cleveland's going to trade Shador or Dylan Gabriel this offseason. There's no reason to keep both. Um, how would you think about Dylan Gabriel being your starting quarterback?
I personally wouldn't like it if they were to make that trade. To me, that would mean Monty Ossenfort and Gannon viewed him as someone maybe they liked in the draft, so they're going to go out and get him
Mhm.
and make him their starting quarterback. I don't. I mean, that's the only reason that gets done because at this point, I would think that they would want to just kind of dip their hands into next year's draft. I mean, there's. I know the quarterback class isn't great,
Mhm.
but I think there are quarterbacks better than Gabriel. And maybe I'll be wrong. I've not been a huge Gabriel fan. He's just not the quintessential NFL quarterback when it comes to like arm strength.
Yeah.
He's a dink and dunker, which can work in the right system and with the right players. Obviously, it wasn't quite working in Cleveland. You could argue that he has been a little better than Shador. Um, I don't think I would be too excited to have him. I wouldn't be excited because I think the Cardinals aren't super far off, if that makes sense. Like, injuries plagued them a lot.
Yep.
Harrison's been out a ton. Obviously, they lost Connor and Benson. But the defense overall hasn't really been that bad. I mean, when you're out there all the time, you're going to make mistakes. But I'd like, I'd like to see them at least try to try to win. Maybe it's going to be a complete teardown. I'm not. Who knows? But
Yeah.
hopefully, it's not for Dylan Gabriel.
Okay. I was trying to just test it out. I know we need a quarterback, so throwing names out there. But all right, well, let's go into some pick'em mode. Tonight's game, actually a really good game. Both teams that played on Thanksgiving. Dallas heading to Detroit. This could go either way and has massive playoff implications at this point. Who do you got?
I'm believing in the Cowboys. I'm believing in the trades they made, not only preseason for Pickens, but at the deadline. They got uh, Quinnen Williams. And, like, the Dallas defense, it's not great, but it's better. And their offense is now just insanely good. With, I mean, you can run the ball with Javante, and Dak's having a pretty good season with Pickens and Lamb's looking kind of like he's back finally. So I'm taking the Cowboys. Amon-Ra being hurt doesn't help. I think they're going to key in on Jamison Williams, who's really their only pass catching threat. Because, like you said earlier, Laporta's out. I don't even know who's going to be their second receiver. Tesla? I don't know.
Yeah. Yep.
It's going to be a lot of Jameer Gibbs and Montgomery. They're going to have to try to really force the rush or get one of those like 10 catch games out of Gibbs. But I like the Cowboys here.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Cowboys too. Detroit is just very beat up, and Detroit's kind of putting themselves into a bad spot. But, the way the schedule plays out, the 10 days after this game for Detroit may be really key just to get some guys healthy again. Dallas has been playing good ball, and it's tough not to pick them. So I'm going to take Dallas. The biggest thing I'm confused about is Detroit's favored by 3. So what does Vegas know that we don't? Well, let's move to Sunday. First game, kind of a stinker. Seattle heading to Atlanta. Two teams on having very drastically different seasons.
Yeah, I don't even think I need to go into detail. I'm taking Seattle.
Yep, I'm taking Seattle as well. Cincinnati heading to Buffalo. Cincinnati got Joe Burrow back, and they looked a little bit better playing Baltimore, beating them on Thanksgiving. Buffalo just kind of swimming along. Who do you have here?
I'm taking the Bills just because they're at home. The Bengals offense does look a lot better. Um, I need T. Higgins to play for my fantasy team,
Hmm. Okay, fair.
but I'm taking the Bills.
Okay, I'm going to take the Bills as well. That Cincinnati defense, I still don't totally buy. Baltimore's offense, I was going to talk about them earlier, but decided not to. That Baltimore offense is just not the same. It's just gotten older. Lamar looks slow. So I'm not giving a ton of credit to Cincinnati just quite yet. Let's see if they can shut down Josh Allen and James Cook first. Um, Kind of a stinker bowl here. Tennessee heading to Cleveland.
Yeah, I'm taking the Browns just because of their defense.
Yeah.
That's really all I got.
Yeah, Tennessee, I don't know how they can score, so I'm going to take
No.
Cleveland. Shador really kind of got the right end of the stick on when he started his NFL career, getting the Raiders and Cleveland in two of his first three starts. So, Vegas and Tennessee.
Yep.
Um, all right, so Washington Commanders heading to Minnesota.
It doesn't really matter who the Vikings are putting at quarterback because their offense is just stinky. Um, I'm taking. I don't even care if it's Mariota or Jaden Daniels. I would assume Mariota's probably starting again. I haven't heard much on Jaden Daniels, but Terry McLaurin's back, and that's a huge weapon for Mariota. Or if you're Chris Collinsworth, Mariota. He was
Yeah,
pronouncing it super weird. So I'm taking the Commanders. Vikings are just their offense is just absolutely garbage. I did see a rumor too about Justin Jefferson wanting to get out of there.
yeah.
Again, not sure how true that is, but if I were him, I wouldn't. I'd probably request a trade.
Yeah, that wide receiver room is quickly falling apart. Justin Jefferson not happy. Adam Thielen straight up said, "Cut me." They let him go. He signed with Pittsburgh. I think yesterday or the day before, some point earlier this week. Yeah, Minnesota's falling apart.
Addison has been non-existent.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Washington. Miami heading to the Jets.
I'm taking the Dolphins. They've kind of turned their season around. Um, and I think Devon Achan is the best player on that field, and they're just going to force feed him the ball, and the Jets are going to jet.
Yep, I'm going to take the Dolphins as well. They've had a nice second half of the season for sure. Let's head over to the the NFC South, where we got the New Orleans Saints heading down into Tampa Bay.
Bucks
Yeah,
are going to win this. Saints are just not there. Tyler Shuck is not good.
yeah, fair. Bucks are getting a little bit more healthy too, turning some of those guys. I will take the Bucks. Colts heading to Jacksonville.
I'm taking the Jaguars at home. I think you mentioned the Colts earlier in the show, and I want them to prove something to me. And it's always sketchy when your starting quarterback could go down at any minute. But I think Jacksonville's going to be fired up. It's in Duval County. I'm taking the Jags at home.
Yep, I've got the Jags as well for similar reasons. Pittsburgh heading to Baltimore.
I'm taking the Ravens again just because it's at home, and I was not sold on that Steelers performance last game.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers came out. He took accountability for himself, I will say. He did say the offense needs to be a lot better, and yeah, this will be interesting. I mean, if the Steelers keep losing, this could be Tomlin's first ever sub 500 season.
This could
Which
also
would
be
be
his.
interesting.
This could be his last season. I'm hearing rumblings like
Yeah.
crazy on that one. But I'm going to take Baltimore as well. I just feel like that offense eventually will turn it around. They're kind of running out of time, so they got to do it sooner rather than later. Um, Going to the afternoon slate on Sunday, kind of not a great one here. Denver Raiders. It's a rivalry, but I mean, I have Denver. They should win.
Yeah. Even if it's a sloppy game, it doesn't matter if Denver plays well or bad. They're just winning games. They just know how to win right now. So,
Yeah,
uh,
and the Raiders don't.
yeah, it's on Broncos.
Um, Great divisional matchup here. Probably the best game of the weekend. Double checking that statement. This probably his best game of the weekend. Yeah, probably. Chicago at Green Bay.
I'm taking Green Bay because again, I think I've said this the third time. They're at home. Bears are also, they're kind of like similar to the Broncos of the NFC. They're like finding ways to win in weird ways.
Mm-hmm.
I just think the Packers. I think Jordan Love just outduels Caleb Williams. So I'm taking the Packers at home.
Yep, I got the Packers as well in that one. Rams at Arizona.
Rams.
Yep, Rams as well. Arizona's been at least showing fight, but they can't win. Sunday Night Football, desperation mode for both of these teams. Houston, which is on a nice winning streak, heading to Kansas City, who lost on Thanksgiving.
I'm buying this Texans defense. I think they're the best in the NFL defensively. Always helps when your starting quarterback comes back. Jaden Higgins looking like a decent number 2 to Nico Collins. I'm taking the Texans.
I'm taking Kansas City, and the only reason I'm taking Kansas City is it's in Kansas City. If this game was being played in Houston, I would take Houston. It's pretty much that simple. I'm taking Kansas City. Both teams are desperate, though, in my opinion. They have to continue winning to make the playoffs. So Monday Night Football, kind of mentioned this already with Justin Herbert. Philly heading to the Chargers.
I'm taking Philly. I think Philly turns it around, looks a little better. Chargers are, I don't know. This whole Justin Herbert thing kind of worries me.
Yeah, I actually had the exact same thought, and that's why I circled Philly. So, pretty simple there. So, all right, well, let's run into our top 5. And to be completely honest, we ran into this top 5 because I ran into a video on Josh Rosen on TikTok. So, we are doing the top 5 biggest quarterback busts over the last decade. So, from 2015 to present, we got our top 5 biggest quarterback busts. Josh Rosen, little spoiler here, will probably make both of our lists. But I'll let you go first at number 5. Who do you have?
So number 5, I threw down Anthony Richardson. He's still young. He can still turn it around potentially. But it's not looking good. He seems like one of those got by on athleticism in college. Did it in college, but just cannot translate it to the NFL. So he's still young. He still has time, like I said, but he's going to really have to push for a starting job within the next year or two because after that, even younger guys start coming in and you'll probably get relegated to a backup. You'll become like the next Jameis Winston or someone like that.
Yeah. So my number 5 is really premature, but it's been so bad that I put J.J. McCarthy. It's only been 7 games, but it's been bad. When you have a wide receiver core like you have and you can't throw the ball, I get there's been injuries and stuff like that, but 7 games, and you can make a good argument that only 3 of them have been good, is 3/4 have been good of the 7 games. It's bad.
The best receiver the only receiver he can figure out is Naylor. He can't figure out how to throw to Addison or Justin Jefferson. It's so weird.
And Justin Jefferson's, if you ask anyone, top 5 receiver, he doesn't know how to get him the ball. That's incredible.
My number 4 is Mitch Trubisky. From a career standpoint, it hasn't really been a bust. I mean, he's obviously still in the NFL. He's backing up Josh Allen, collecting a paycheck. But for what people thought this guy would be, all the people thinking that he'd come from Duke and be the Bears' savior, well, that didn't happen. He might continue on and be one of those career backups for another 5-10 years, but in my eyes, he's kind of a bust because he was the number 1 overall. Wasn't he the number 1 overall pick?
He was number 2, but his biggest problem was Um, Patrick Mahomes was drafted 8 spots later.
Yeah.
So that's Patrick Mahomes was the number 2 quarterback in that class. Watson was 3. So
Was that the Miles Garrett draft?
Myles Garrett was 1.
Okay.
Yeah, which that Myles Garrett is pretty
Yeah,
good. So
he's good.
yeah. But yeah, no, he was drafted ahead of Mahomes, which that's a tough look. Um, Number 4 for me is someone actually you just mentioned, Anthony Richardson. Very similar situation. It's very similar statements I was going to make. It doesn't help the first year where he's not the starter. They're poised to go to the playoffs, or at least in a situation where they could go to the playoffs. It didn't help when Joe Flacco came in when he was hurt. They looked better. I mean, it just hasn't been a great road.
Make him a tight end.
Yeah.
My number 3 is Paxton Lynch.
Mm.
First round pick. Went to Denver. I don't even think he's like legit playing football anymore because I tried to look him up and I couldn't find him in the Arena League. I couldn't find him in Canada. He's obviously not in the NFL. So there's a first round. I mean, I know he was end first round, but there's your first round quarterback who's just straight up out of the NFL. So that's a bust.
So my number 3, probably on the same track record here at this point. Only drafted 4 years ago, but Zach Wilson has had multiple opportunities. Got a second shot with the Jets, went nowhere. Was a backup in Denver, that didn't go well, and now he's the backup in Miami. I don't think he's going to get another shot. Number 2 draft pick overall in 21, and I think his career might be over.
So my number 2 is Trey Lance, especially for the amount of draft picks the Niners gave up. Niners, right? Is that where you got drafted?
Niners, yep.
Yeah. They gave up like 3 first rounders for him.
Yeah.
And he is now backing up Justin Herbert in Los Angeles. So someone thought they'd be real cute and draft an FCS quarterback from North Dakota State. Hasn't really worked out.
Yeah, so I'll give my 2 and 1 really quick. So my 1 was actually Trey Lance, for exactly what you said. The reason I put him at 1 was because the haul they gave up to get him. They really got saved because they drafted Brock Purdy in the same draft. That's where they got saved, literally. Or a year later, I can't remember. It was a year later, but regardless, they drafted Brock Purdy, and it made it look okay in the end. My 2 is Josh Rosen. Made it a couple years and fizzled out. He is no longer in football. The only reason I have him at 2 and Lance at 1 is at least Rosen started a season. Trey Lance, I don't think will ever get 16, 17 games under his belt.
That's fair. I have Rosen at 1. And everything you said about Rosen, obviously I agree with. The last thing I'll say is when Josh Rosen talks about when you get to college and you're gonna go to the NFL, if you don't love the game, it's probably not good. And he came out and talked about how like football doesn't do it for him, or like he's not a gym rat. And well, if I don't make it in football, my accountant parents I'll be fine. It's like, well, that's what you're doing now.
What you're doing now. It turned out fine, I guess.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, anything you want to add on before we sign off here?
I think I'm all good.
I think I'm all good too. Until next week, guys, enjoy a wonderful football weekend. Lots to watch. Yeah. I don't got anything to add. So, we'll see you all later.